Take 18.
Is your life kinda complicated? Welcome to One Take, the podcast designed to seek wisdom to live simple, healthy, and happy. We'll get there one take at a time. I'm your host, Yezmin Thomas.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Take 18 of One Take, the podcast. I am your host, Yezmin Thomas, and I am so happy that you're joining me again for another episode. It's going to be you and me solo for a good reason. I am preparing a series of blog posts that I want to lay out for you on the web and on the podcast. So we're going to be talking for the next couple of weeks about money. Money is a topic that I am very passionate about because it's one of those things that I didn't really learn a whole lot about when I was growing up. And turns out it's quite important to know about money and know how to manage your finances and how to save your money and how to make money and how not to run out of money at the end of the month. So I am going to dedicate the next couple weeks to talk about money because I want you guys to have options. And I have found that when I was not in charge of my money, I didn't really have many options. And my life was not as simple as I would have liked it to be. So I have written this really long, over 1,800 words post that's available on my website, yezminthomas.com. And this is what inspired me to write that post because I don't want to brag, but I have gone from not being in great financial shape. You know, when I started working, you start getting married, you start buying and doing everything everybody else is doing, thinking that's the right thing. And then life, life has its funny way of teaching you really good, important lessons that are sometimes painful to learn. So I'm going to share with you guys, as if you listen to Take 17, I share with you guys a little bit about my background, and there was something that I said, and there's a story about that I'll tell you later. And that's the story on how I finally realized that I needed to get my money life together and get in good financial shape. And that's important because I don't think they really teach us about that. Not that's somebody else's responsibility, but I think they should. I know that in some high schools, they teach about finances and personal finance. But when you go to college, the first thing that you do once you move into your dorm, they start sending you these credit card applications. And of course, you feel like I must be important. I must be a grown-up because I am getting credit card applications. So, I had friends that had over 20 credit cards and they thought that was cool and I didn't even understand. In fact, I remember when I applied for my first credit card, I got it on the mail. I had no idea on how to use it, although credit cards were not a new concept for me, because I knew my parents had them and they use them and they pay them off, and that's what they taught me. You save money and you don't get in debt. That's all I knew about money. When it was time for me to manage my money, I remember in college I got a credit card and I had like a $50 purchase, and I didn't understand that you have to pay it off at the end of the cycle, every month, or you have to pay something or they will charge you a late fee. And I remember this lady called me and she's like, "You're late on your credit card payment. We're going to add a $29 fee." And I was like, "What? I mean, aren't you supposed to just use a credit card and pay it whenever you have money to pay it?" Turns out you have to pay it, right? And you have to pay it quite consistently or you'll get in trouble. So that's what I'm talking about. And I mean, it's been a long time since I went to college. Okay, but life has taught me great lessons. Today, I feel in really good financial shape. I feel like in my household, we are able to make choices and we're consciously making sacrifices to get to where we want to be financially, which is not living in debt of any kind. And let me start by asking you, do you feel like you run out of money before the next paycheck? Do you feel like you have to put half of your purchases on credit cards? Do you feel like in order to keep up with your friends' activities and entertainment, choices, you have to use credit cards? Have you thought that you are going to lease the car that you want to drive because the payment of the loan, if you chose to purchase it, would be too much? You would not be able to afford. Have you done that? Have you put medical bills on a credit card because you don't have the money to pay them off? Have you felt like sometimes you have to put gas on a credit card because you don't have the money to put enough gas, paying cash for it, for your new SUV? I mean, these are things that are happening all the time, everywhere around you. In fact, and I need you guys to know, I am not saying this to judge anyone. So if you feel like I am talking to you, believe me, I'm not even looking at anyone, but this is the research. The research says that 50% of people in the United States of America, 50% of Americans, live paycheck to paycheck. That means if you are standing in line somewhere, you turn right, that person might be living paycheck to paycheck, and the person next to you might be, if it's not you. If you're not, good. You are that other 50%. But if you are, hey, no problem. We all go through it. We were there. We were there before. Yes, we were there. We made so many financial mistakes. I mean, I look back and I'm like, that was so stupid. But you know what? You got to learn from your mistakes. And if you haven't done it, if you're pretty responsible, great for you. And listen, because I want you to learn from my mistakes, because I want you to be in a position where you feel like you have options because you have money, and not that you feel like you're forced to stay in a job that you don't like or forced to live a certain lifestyle that you don't enjoy because you don't have any other options, because you're up to death and you're drowning in death and there's no way out of it. So I'm going to toss a number out here, a number that's out of my imagination, but the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, they did a report in May of 2017. They say that Americans owe, and I had to type this out and I had to Google it because I really didn't know how to spell this number out. Americans owe $12.73 trillion in mortgages, cars, student loans, Coach purses, Starbucks coffee, Banana Republic purchases, whatever is your favorite, and you have to swipe your credit card to get it. That's what makes up $12 trillion. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 zeros after a 12. $12 trillion. I mean, my imagination cannot reason with so many zeros. So that's insane. I mean, and that's a 150 billion increase from the fourth quarter of 2016. Translation, it's just getting worse. We're just buying more stuff than we can afford. And why do we do this? Because many reasons. Number one, the culture of consumerism that we live in. We are told everywhere on TV, advertisements, everywhere. The message is that if you want it, you can have it. You should have it. You deserve. In fact, you deserve to have it because you work hard and life is good. And this is what life is about, to have the pleasures of life right now. And so you go get in debt and you go buy everything from a Louis Vuitton purse to a brand new truck, right? The girls, we love the clothes. We love clothes and makeup and expensive shoes and expensive clothes. And the guys love their trucks. Okay, I live in Texas. Yes, everything is bigger here. They even have Texas style pickup trucks. And they're bigger than bigger than bigger. And they're very expensive. And all the guys, that's their dream, to drive a pickup truck, loaded pickup truck, so that everyone on the highway can feel the pain because they are superior. Yes, so we get in debt to buy all this stuff. And then here come the bills. And they pile up. And you don't even want to open the mail. And I know. You buy it, you enjoy it for a minute, 2 minutes, 3 weeks, whatever, till the bill comes. The reminder, the reality check that you're living a lifestyle that you can't afford it. And if you really think about it, guys, it's not sustainable in the long run. You really have to think about the long term. What is it that you rather have? That stuff that you really want right now? Or financial security and a simple lifestyle for the long run? Because remember, when you get in debt, you cannot really control your environment. What happens if you lose your job? What happens if you get sick, if you break a leg or something and you cannot go back to work and then you see your income reducing? What happens if suddenly you have to bring your parents to live with you because they're getting old and they need help? What happens if you have an accident? I mean, there's so many things that we don't consider, so many questions we don't ask ourselves when we are, for instance, signing a lease on the new car, or buying a house that's much bigger than we can really afford, or going on vacation and putting on a credit card, or going out to eat every weekend. In fact, I had a friend once I don't know that he wasn't making fun of me, but he was really curious to know what I did on the weekends, because I told him that we didn't really go out and eat out because we were saving money. And he was like, so what do you guys do on the weekends? Well, we grill. We grill a lot and we cook at home and we watch movies and, we have fun. We don't need to go spend our money. Plus, I hate going out to eat on a weekend, especially Saturdays and Fridays, because you have to wait for an hour to be seated and then they rush you through because there's so many people waiting. I just don't enjoy that kind of meal scenario. I'd rather stay home and eat. And my husband's a fantastic griller and he has all his grilling toys like competition style, and we eat so good. I mean, we eat too much, by the way. Anyway, that's besides the point. So what happens when life arrives and our perfect life based on debt is burst? The bubble bursts. And now the income gets reduced and we have the same bills to pay. I'm asking you this question because that happened to me. And you know what? It was a tough life lesson. It was back in 2008. And you guys remember, of course, the recession. Everything on the news was about the recession. The recession, people losing jobs, companies laying off, and it was like the Armageddon was coming, And one day I was at work. I mean, it was one of those days that get embedded in your mind, just like 9/11. And my husband called me at, like 11 in the morning, totally out of character. And he gives me the news. He had just been laid off from his job at a manufacturing plant. He was a project manager. And they told him, you know what? Things are tough. Things are hard. The economy is really bad. We are moving your job to Mexico. Now, nothing against Mexicans. I am Mexican. But they were moving his job to Mexico because it was cheaper to have someone there do the job while the company dealt with the situation of the economy. Whew. I still remember that phone call. And that phone call, it was just like a ripple effect. He lost his job. We were used to living on 2 incomes. We had some money saved, but there were no jobs. And so we saw the savings account going down, the checkings account going down and down and down. I even remember telling myself, wow, I am so lucky I have a credit card. Just in case we need to start buying gas and groceries on the card so that we can use the income that's coming in to pay the mortgage and the credit card bills and the bank notes for the vehicles. Can you imagine thinking that having a credit card was a blessing? And then it all came crashing down. We get a letter in the mail from the credit card company saying that they were going to increase our interest rate on new purchases. And I'm like, this must be a mistake. We haven't used this credit card for a long time. We're paying off the balance every month. It's getting lower. We are good customers. We are the dream customer. Why are they increasing our interest rate? Well, it turns out, and this is one of those life lessons that I learned, and you guys should know this about credit card companies. That's why I don't have a credit card. Turns out they were not making enough money off our debt. We were not incurring any more debt. We were paying it off. So what happened? They decided in the middle of a recession, when my husband didn't have a job, to increase our interest rate in future purchases. I felt like somebody just stabbed me in the back with a dagger. I was disgusted. And I told myself in that moment, I am paying this sucker off, and I will never in my entire life deal with credit cards ever again. I don't like them. I don't use them. I don't have them. They suck. They want you because they want your money. And you feel like you're fortunate when you're in college, when you get your credit card application and you receive it, and you feel special and you feel like you must be worthy. You must be somebody because you are worthy of credit. You guys should know, credit card companies, they just want your money and they will get your money. They're not giving you or doing you any favors. And if you have credit card debt, and if you've had it for a long time and you can get out of it, you probably know what I'm talking about. So the ripple effect of him losing his job, it taught me so many lessons. Back then, I felt like it was so difficult to deal with because our world was swapped upside down. We went from having two incomes and living very comfortable to suddenly cutting a really good portion of our income, living off one income, and having to make a lot of choices to be able to live with one income. So we cut out all eating out, we cut out so many things. But we also discovered that there were many fun things that we didn't have to spend money to enjoy. We went to so many parks. Oh man, we went to the dollar movies. I didn't even know they had one. And I would smuggle popcorn and candy and soda. Yes, that's my confession for today. Because the popcorn was expensive. We couldn't afford the popcorn and the soda. I mean, we didn't want to spend the money on that. But the tickets to get into the movie theater were $1. So yes, that's the kind of deal I'm talking about. So now that I look back at it, having been through a lot of depression, pain, stress, anxiety. I mean, like I told you in my previous episode, one day I was having an anxiety attack at work, and in part it was because of the stress, but a big part of it was because I didn't have options. I was in a very stressful job, and I was the sole provider because my husband lost his job, and I didn't have a choice to quit. So I had to suck it up, and it was very stressful. And that's one thing I learned. Money will give you options. Debt will limit you and will trap you. And please take my word for it. If you're not in financial stress, great for you. Congratulations, you're doing great. But if you are in financial stress, there is a better way. And I want you to know that the stress and the pain and the depression and everything that comes with being in financial struggle, it's also temporary. Know that, guys. It is temporary. It will pass. Today, I can tell you that I'm actually glad that that happened to us, because that opened my eyes to the kind of lifestyle that I didn't want to live, that I didn't know I didn't want to live, because that's what everybody else was living. Everyone that I knew was on the same situation, using credit cards, financing cars, having mortgage payments, everything was on a payment. So coming out of that, we actually paid off the credit cards, we paid off the car loans, and we came out of that. My husband found a new job, and the money just started piling up. Not having payments, it's amazing how the math works when you don't have payments, when the credit cards are not receiving all your monthly income. So not having the payments allowed us to get a really good savings account. Ever since, I made a commitment to not get in debt, and I dragged my husband along with me. And we are committed to not getting in debt. I told you before how last year we bought myself my new car. We paid cash for it. Today I had a funny conversation with my daughter because she's like, I don't know when you're listening to this, but we're in the middle of the summer of 2017, if you guys listen to it later on. So she asked me if next summer we were going to be going places. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, well, you know how we stayed at home this summer? Are we going to be traveling and going to places and doing things next summer? I'm like, you betcha we will. And I'm like, do you remember why we're not traveling this summer? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, let me explain to you something. And I explained to her. And she's 12 years old. But I think it's important that she knows that we did not travel this summer. We didn't go on vacation because we were saving money to pay cash for another vehicle. My husband has been driving the same one for 12 years. I drove the same one for, 10 and a half, 11 years. But that allowed us to collect the money and saved it up to pay cash for a new car. So we did that last summer, and then we started saving to be able to buy, within a year, my husband, his new car. So she knows, and I had to explain to her that we had to make some sacrifices, but it was important for me that she understood that there is no option for her to live in debt when she graduates college and starts her life. I want her to know that there's other options, because we are not taught that. We are not taught that at school. And I think my responsibility as a parent is to make sure that my daughter knows that she has that option and that it's possible, and that we are modeling it for her and for my son. And my hope, and I'm going to work really hard on this, is that she grows up to never be in debt. We are saving for her college. We are going to take care of it. I want her to grow up, go to college, graduate, and save to put a down payment on a house. And that's the only debt that I'm going to tell her it's okay to have. But never get in debt to buy shoes, cat litter, dog food. I don't know how many crazy things people buy and they pay with a credit card. Even at McDonald's, people pay with the credit cards. I don't want her to ever have a credit card. I want her to know that there's a way to live debt-free and to have whatever you need. You may not have the latest and the most expensive and the fanciest and the biggest, but you will have what you need to take care of you. And that's my message for her. So we were having that conversation, and she's like, yeah, okay. And then I'm like, yeah, next summer we're going to travel and it's going to be fun and everything. And she left pretty content. I mean, she knows we're making a sacrifice now for later. And that's what you need to know. If you're going through financial struggles, it might sound ridiculous for you right now, but know that the struggle is temporary. And if you are smart, and if you are determined, and if you are disciplined to live a better life without debt, then the struggle will be worth it, because it's going to teach you so many lessons. It's going to show you the line that you're not willing to go back to. I am not willing to go back to ever having stress because somebody loses their jobs. In fact, I recently made a job transition and was so confident to make it Not just because I was going to be making a better income, but because I knew that I had that savings just in case, because you never know, because I joined a startup. So I was confident about making the move because I have a nice cushion to fall back on. And when you have that sense of safety, you make better choices. You interview better. You become a more confident person. And that's important. That's really important for me to have confidence. So I'm sharing this with you guys because I would like for you to choose a life of confidence, a life of choices, a life of being out of debt, a life of stopping believing in the lies that you see on advertisements. Because instant gratification, it's really easy to get. You can buy it now. You can have it now. In fact, I laugh at the mattresses commercials because they say you can go and finance it for 5 years or no payments for 3 years or whatever. I'm just thinking I wouldn't be able to fall asleep on a mattress if I had financed it. It would keep me up all night knowing that I had financed it. But yet you can finance everything. And that's what gets us in trouble. Now, my invitation for you, if you want to get financially fit, is to know that there is a better way. But it's going to take a while. It takes time. There's no magic wand here. There's no magic process. There's no magic pill. It takes time. If you really want to change your financial situation and have stability in the future and lay out a plan for financial security for your kids' college education, for your retirement, if you want to stop living paycheck to paycheck, remember 50% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. That's a lot of people. If you want to stop feeling that anxiety because you don't know if you're going to have enough money to pay the bills, because you don't know if you're going to have enough money to cover your kids' college education, you don't know if next month the air conditioning bill goes up, it's going to throw you off because you're going to have to put it on a credit card. If that's your situation, if you just want to be a better steward of your money, if you want to live simple without the stress, I'm not saying become a minimalist. I'm telling you, if you get out of that, your life will be much simpler and much better. Because you're not going to be concerned about losing a job. You're not going to be concerned about having your car repo because you didn't pay it. You're not going to be concerned about having to put your gas expenses on a credit card. You're not going to be concerned about making your mortgage payments because you have a savings account, because you have prepared. If you guys are interested in improving your financial life, your financial decisions, your financial future, I would really encourage you guys to stay tuned because in the next couple of weeks, that's what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be talking and sharing with you guys basically the process that we have been following from the layoff to today, which has been about 10 years, almost 10 years, 9 years, that has helped us to flip our financial situation, to give us options, to give us safety, to have control of our finances, to be financially fit and debt-free. If you guys want to live a better life, a life with options, then you need to stick around. That's my message for you guys today. And make sure you subscribe and make sure you share this episode with somebody you care about. Because remember, turn right, turn left. If you're driving today, right now, if you're driving, turn to the right and then turn to the left. One of those two people, they're broke. They don't have money. They're in debt up to their eyeballs. If they lost their job tomorrow, it would be a financial disaster. And that's the last thing I want for you guys. I want you all to have financial security, to be financially fit, to be confident, and to open options for you to live the life that you really want to live. It's possible. I went through it. I came out much wiser, much stronger, and I want to share that with you. All right? So share this episode with anybody that you think may get something good out of it. And also don't forget to go on my website and subscribe for my blog posts feeds. So you can also listen to the podcast on the web or on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or any other of those podcast players, okay? So also don't forget to connect with me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. My handle is at Yezmin Thomas. And I guess that's all I have for you guys. So remember, stay tuned. That's going to be the topic of my next couple of podcast episodes. Money, getting control of your finances, the hard lessons that I've learned about money, and opening your life to financial stability, a simpler lifestyle, and options. Options to live the kind of life that you really want to live. Until next time, I appreciate you guys. I really thank you for your time. Remember, keep it simple. I'll talk to you on the next take.